There's something about the idea of a log cabin that just cuts to the very core of my being. When I imagine quintessential cozy human shelter, the very first image that comes to mind is a log cabin. And that is why I am so excited for this next project, where we take a super cool kit set log cabin and transform it into the ultimate off-grid escape. I am so excited to team up with Palmako and Trade Tested to bring this incredible project to life. Trade Tested import these amazing Palmako cabins, which I am just so excited to experiment with. The very first time I saw one of these cabins, I knew that I wanted to do this project. The kit set that we're using as the base for this project is the Palmako Anna Log Cabin Garden House. At just under 27 square meters, or about 270 square feet, it's a modern style 2-room log cabin. Our goal over the next few weeks is to construct the cabin using the kit set as a base and then add onto it to create the ultimate getaway. I've got some big plans for this cabin, but first things first though, and first thing is prepping the build site. To help with this project, we've teamed up with some rockstar local builders, Rick, his son Matt, and their awesome crew. Hello and welcome to the very start of this most exciting build. Today was huge. We cleared the site. We've got everything ready for where everything is going to happen. This is a very meticulously thought out site for this build. It's actually one of my absolute favorite parts on this property, especially now that we've cleared away all of the scrub and we can see right out into this incredible gully, which is filled with all of these beautiful, gigantic trees. This is a site where we're really going to be able to capitalize on this and just show this incredible vista out from behind the house. We've cleared out a lot of scrub today. We've made a lot of progress. It's amazing. The digger in here, in only 4 hours, we managed to get all of this scrub scratched out, and it's actually amazing how much space that we've created here. And now we get to do the fun stuff. We've got the cabin arriving soon. We're going to put foundations in the ground and get everything set so that hopefully when the cabin arrives, we're ready to go. With the build site prepared, it was then time to turn our attention to the foundations. Just as with any project, the foundations are fundamental in building a solid structure that will stand the test of time. G'day Matt, how's it going?
Hey mate, how are ya?
Very good, thank you. Now Matt here is one of our absolute pro builders that is helping us to bring this incredible project to life. And wow, you guys have been hard at work, hey?
Yeah, that's just pretty scorcher.
It's a hot day out here, man, yeah. So to start, can you talk to me about where we're at so far? Because we haven't actually used any of the kit set yet. This is all preparation, site work, foundations. Can you just walk me through what's happened so far to get us to this point?
Yeah, for sure. So we've obviously concreted in the piles to the set out that Palmako gave us, Trade Tested gave us. We've chosen, well, you've chosen to do a treated floor system, just being in the bush, a bit more moisture here than probably standard is. So we got piles and bears in. We're just finishing up the joists now. We've got boundary along the side, and now we're just going to start nogging out for the floor.
Exciting, because that is one thing, here in New Zealand we have pretty brutal weather conditions. It gets really hot, gets really muggy, high humidity, and especially in the bush we also get a tremendous amount of rainfall. And so swapping out the joists, this is really just a decision that gives the structure a little bit more longevity in this kind of setting.
Yeah, correct. It's just a bit of peace of mind, because you're going to have a higher moisture content in the ground than you say most other places in the world, and just in being tucked into the bush.
Yeah,
it's just a high moisture content where this will hold out, and then obviously with a bit of insulation, and it's just going to be more comfortable as well.
Yeah, and for a cabin project like this, what are the tips and tricks to getting the foundations really right?
Yeah, so obviously it's just built to NZ 3604, just a light timber construction. So the important part is just pile spacings, sizing of your bears, and then your joist spans really, and that's all spelled out in those tables.
Fantastic. And now the foundations are finished, we've got the joists on, and what's next?
Yeah, so we'll hopefully get some insulation in, going with an X-pole, and then we will put the treated plywood down, and then we're ready to chuck the cabin up and start putting it together.
Yeah. Now, a lot of these cabins, when they're built without insulation, and presumably in this kind of environment, they don't really need it, but this is a decision that, again, we're sort of adding to the kit set in order to increase the longevity, increase the function of the building.
Yeah, and just the overall comfort, right? You know, it's going to keep it cooler when you want it cooler and warmer when you want it warmer. So.
Yeah, and it's easy to add.
Exactly. Cheap insurance.
Awesome. Cool. The Palmako kit set does come with some really nice spruce floorboards. However, in this cabin, we're doing something a little bit different with the floors, as you'll find out later. Instead, we have other ideas for how we're going to be using the flooring timber, but you'll have to wait to find out about that. So, with the foundations down, we set to work insulating the floor. I'm of the opinion that regardless of your climate, it's always important to insulate as best as you can. Being a timber structure, the cabin itself is likely to be nice and warm, but going the extra mile to insulate the floor and ceiling, I think, is always a good move. And just as our plywood subfloor started to go down, like clockwork, the actual kit set cabin arrived at the build site. The longest timber members of the kit set are 8 meters or 26 feet. Combined with the length of the truck, it was a tight fit to get down our narrow driveway, but thankfully the delivery truck just managed to squeeze down. This was a huge bonus for us, as being able to get the delivery truck so close to the build site saved us a huge amount of back-breaking work carrying the heavy timber. The kit was offloaded from the truck, and just like kids on Christmas Day, we all got stuck into the packages to see what toys we would get to play with. So, with the cabin now on site and the subfloor complete, that was the end of all of our prep work. The following day, we could get started on the cabin itself. The team's been hard at work, and we now have the foundations and subfloor completed. Fortunately, we managed to also get all of the materials delivered here on site. It was definitely a tight location for the delivery truck, but we made it and everything has arrived safely, which means today it is time to actually start constructing the cabin. Now, the way that this works is it's effectively like a kit set. So here are the plans. So we have each and every one of the members that has arrived in the kit set, which is individually labeled, and all of these are basically pre-cut, everything's ready to go, so it's just a matter of unpacking the kit set and effectively building the cabin as if you were building a Lego set or something like that. So I'm really excited to see how this goes. You'll have to forgive my face today. I am ghost white, and that's because it is a really hot summer's day. I'm going to be seeing a lot of sun today, so I just layered on the sunscreen. So let's get into it, make it happen. The walls of the kit set cabin are made from 70mm thick Nordic spruce timber. That gives the cabin a really solid construction. Those tight growth rings are testament to the quality of the timber here, which is really nice to see. To get started, we uncovered the timber and started organizing all of the individual pieces. Each and every item in the packaging is meticulously labeled and corresponds to the plans, which tell you exactly where to place it. So we've got our first layer down now, and it's actually quite fun once you get the hang of it. It was a little bit confusing at first, just while we were figuring out the system, but everything is really well labeled, and it's basically just like building with a Lego kit set. Every single one of these pieces of timber is labeled with a number, and all you really need to do is find the corresponding number on the plan set. So we're building from the ground up, and now that we've got all of our timber sort of spread out and we're able to kind of arrange everything really well, we can just, basically I'll be able to call out numbers and we'll have the various pieces brought in and it'll go up. At first, it can take a little bit to get your head around the process, but once underway, there was no stopping us, and the process was actually a lot of fun. That easy. So, if you loved playing with Lego as a kid or Meccano, you'll probably really enjoy building one of these. One of the great things about this kind of building is that if you take your time and follow the instructions, everything is going to work out all right. Yeah, so right here is 28. And then this one over here.
Now we'll be able to put the long one on.
Okay. And then a number 3 over the other side as well.
Pigs in later.
As the walls grew higher, we also installed the timber pegs. These pegs help to hold the wall logs in place and keep everything nice and tight. They're staggered throughout the whole building to keep everything beautifully locked together. The cabin is secured to the subfloor using steel brackets, which are installed all throughout the structure. It's further connected to the foundations through steel rods, which we'll talk about later. With the walls going up and fast progress being made, it was time to turn my attention towards the electrical plan. Now with these kit sets, none of them come pre-drilled for wiring or anything like that. So if you are wanting to add electrics or potentially plumbing to one of these, you're going to want to think about that in advance. So what I've done is I've gone and marked out where I want all of the electrical services, and as the build progresses, we're drilling down to make sure that we create those service holes within the walls so that later on we can fit all of that. If you forget to do that, or if you don't want to do that, then you are able to use something like a copper piping as a conduit that after the fact you can run your wiring through internally. But I just think it looks a little bit messy doing that, so we're trying to keep everything nice and tidy and within the walls. Just with any build project, it's important to have a good understanding of how you intend to use the space so that you can devise a solid electrical plan. There's nothing worse than wanting to use an appliance in a particular place only to find out later that you didn't put a PowerPoint there. In my opinion, it never hurts to future-proof your plans here. Put in extra PowerPoints where possible, and even look at adding exterior PowerPoints in case you want to add some lights, heaters, or other things that require power outside in the future. PowerPoints are cheap and simple to add at this stage of the build and much more complicated later. As the walls continue to rise, it was also time to start installing the windows. These kit sets include super nice European style one-hand tilt and turn windows. Both the windows and doors are double glazed, which will go a long way towards creating a lovely cozy cabin.
Those boys, how they're getting on with that next window. I think they've got it on the stack, they're ready to go. I think it's better tight though, isn't it? Generally with building, you just got to be smarter than the wood. Love it. And think about things.
With every new window installed and every timber log placed, the cabin continued to take shape. It's day number 2 of the build now. Things went really well yesterday, although a big part of the day was really just sort of figuring out how everything goes together. Once you get the hang of it, everything makes a lot of sense, but there's definitely a little bit of a learning curve to putting one of these together. We're also taking a little bit more time to construct this because we are drilling out our service holes and making sure that we can have good wiring in the cabin without needing to run external conduit. So that is also a little bit more time consuming. We've got the electrician that's going to be coming today to sort of help look at a few things and just make sure that everything is okay in that respect. We're probably actually going to start running wires as we go just to make that a little bit easier as well. The other challenge for today is going to be figuring out how to modify the kit set cabin to accommodate the second door. So we want to put in another door here at the back and potentially a window in what's going to be the bedroom as well. That's not part of the kit set. We do have an additional door and window to do that with, but it's really just a matter of figuring out the best way to modify the kit set so that everything stays good and true and structurally integral while making those modifications. So yeah, just as any build, you've got to just tackle those challenges as they come, and fortunately we've got an amazing team here to do it. One of my big plans for the cabin is to really open it out to overlook the gully. This gully is one of my absolute favorite views on the property, and I really want to create a space that just lets you take it all in. So a bedroom window looking down into the gully and a second set of doors that will open out onto a rear deck will really take this cabin to the next level.
This is the scary part. We're customizing a window into the solid wall, so we've got to get it exactly right because the boards come from Estonia, so make sure we get the measurements right. Under that tree.
Doing this though means that we have to cut into the kit set, which is definitely nerve-wracking. Luckily, this one's on Rick.
Really warm light. How do I feel?
dimmable so that,
He's done it.
You know,
Confident as always.
It can be like really just like. It's actually amazing how fast the space transforms because we're building the whole house at once. We're not doing framing, then exterior cladding, then interior cladding. As this home goes up, everything goes up. The windows are going in, the exterior cladding shows itself, the interior shows itself, and it's just really cool to see this rapid transformation. And it's quite funny as well because when you look at the footprint of the cabin before anything was erected, it looked quite small. It looked like it was going to be quite a compact space to work in, but weirdly, as soon as the walls go up, the whole space actually feels so much bigger. Very exciting. With the tricky modifications out of the way, the construction of the kit set continued to rocket along. The walls got higher and the kit set really started to look like a cabin.
Getting walled in here.
We're starting to get the doors and windows fitted, and it is transforming into what feels like a real cabin now. This is always such an exciting part of the build because standing in these rooms now, you can really get a sense of what the finished result is going to look like, and I'm so excited. So one of the really incredible things about the site that we've picked for this cabin is this incredible gully out the back. These old growth trees are anywhere between 400 and 600 years old. And to me, they're just such a spectacular feature. And this is really rare in New Zealand. It's not very often that you come across trees of that age. For me, looking out onto that valley is like looking into Middle Earth or something from Avatar, and we really wanted to celebrate it. The kit set as it was, however, had absolutely no windows or doors on this back wall here. So we are completely modifying this so that we can add a window here in the bedroom and then also a set of French doors at the back of the cabin which is going to enter out onto a 3x3 meter deck so we can really take advantage of that spectacular vista.
It's awfully hot in here, so let's open the window. Voila.
So nice. Mum and Dad have even come to help out on the build too. I say help out, but really Mum is here to watch from a shaded chair like Lady Muck. She just needs a cocktail, really. Dad at least picks up a paintbrush later, but you know what? I don't blame them for spectating. It really is quite a sight to watch this cabin take shape. As the day draws to a close, the last of the wall logs are installed, the remaining windows are fitted.
Like it grew there.
We've reached the end of day 2, and it is super impressive just how fast this structure has gone up. When you think of how long it would take you in a conventional build to get to this stage, it really is quite extraordinary. Everything has gone pretty smoothly. We have got the windows in, we managed to really nicely make the modifications to fit the additional window and the door in, and I'm just so happy with that result. I really think it's going to add so much to this cabin overall. Tomorrow, the plan is to get a start on the ceiling and the roof. We're going to get the structure temporarily weather tight, which will allow us to make a start on getting the decks and the awnings built. And then once that is done, we're going to completely re-roof in metal, which is going to look so good. We've had the electrician around today as well, who has taken a little bit of a look at some of the wiring here. Hopefully he's going to be along tomorrow and we're going to start running some cables into the walls. When it comes to the electrical, we have hit a little hiccup. We thought that we had a power box quite close to the site, and it turns out that that power box has for a very long time been inactive, and the cable that we thought potentially run to a transformer up the top of the hill actually goes nowhere, which means the cost of getting power to this site is going to be astronomical. That's both a good and bad thing, because it means that the more cost-effective solution for getting power to this cabin is also my favorite solution for getting power to this cabin, which means taking it off the grid. There's something about spending tens of thousands of dollars just for the privilege of paying for your power that does not sit right with me. So I would rather take that money and invest it into being my own power station. And so that is also one of the things that we're going to be now doing with this cabin. We're going to take this off the grid, which I am actually super excited about, and I think that it is perfect. How we do that, I'm not exactly sure yet. We might look at solar mounting the panels. We might look at building a separate structure to house the inverter and maybe build the panels off of that. We also have the benefit of having such an elevated structure here as well. So I might even look at housing the batteries underneath the house, but we'll see how we deal with all of those problems when we come to them. But yeah, I am super happy with just how this place feels. I think right now we can get a really good feeling of what this place is going to be like, and I am very impressed. One thing that really sticks out to me is the beauty of this timber. I mean, I've always loved timber structures, and this Nordic spruce is just so beautiful. It is, however, completely untreated, and that means that getting this protected from the weather is now priority. So me and my dad, we're going to get out the brushes and we're going to start staining the exterior. For this place, we've chosen a really beautiful dark walnut stain, which I think is just going to marry in so beautifully with the bush background. And yeah, it's going to look amazing. But it is something to think about when you're erecting these, especially we know that we've got some weather which is going to be coming in over the weekend. So we do want to make sure that the timber is very well protected. It's a bright and early start today, and today the main goal is to get to a point where the roof is up. We've made pretty amazing progress. To think that the cabin has got this far in just 2 days is remarkable, and to think that in the end of the third day we're going to be able to already have the roof up is pretty amazing. But we are sort of chasing the weather for that one. We've had 2 amazing build days. As you can see today, it's starting to cloud over a bit. This weekend we're expecting some pretty heavy rain, and that means waterproofing the structure is now our priority. That means getting the roof up, but it also means staining the house. So that is today's goal. While Dad and I got busy with the staining grunt work, Rick and his team pushed along with the cabin. The idea isn't to be perfect right now. We're just racing the clock before it rains to get a coat on and get it to dry. With the walls fully erected, it was time to run the steel tension rods through the walls.
We are putting the rods in that tension the boards down and hold the walls really solid, and it works really well.
These are installed and then tightened to help keep everything nicely in place. Over the coming months and even years as the cabin continues to settle, these will periodically be tightened to keep everything sitting beautifully together. With the walls now fully installed, it was time to turn our attention to the roofing. Again here, it's just a matter of following the instructions and taking a slow, methodical approach to the construction. With great progress being made on the cabin, our electricians also turned up to begin the pre-wiring.
Yep, that's it. If you go straight ahead, to the outside wall.
Meanwhile, I'm still staining.
Honestly, I
really hate staining and painting. I just find it really tedious. It's quite satisfying, but it's tedious. The roof of this kit set is constructed from very strong tongue and groove boards. These are sturdy and will also give a super nice timber look to the ceiling. I can't wait to see this one come together.
Look at the sweat, I can feel it in my eyebrows. It's almost reflective, eh?
We're using the nails supplied from Estonia.
It's pretty cool. The fascia boards are then installed, and it's time to start on the roofing felt. This is technically the kit set cabin complete at this point. The roofing felt can be nicely finished, or asphalt roofing can also be ordered along with the cabin. For us in this project though, it's just a matter of getting it weather tight so that we can protect the cabin while we turn our attention to the deck and awnings, and later we're going to be installing a solid metal roof over the whole cabin structure.
Oh, you have such a nice view from this deck.
It's now the end of day 3, and this is about as far as the kit set will take us, which is amazing. We've got the roof up, we've got the felt, which is our temporary waterproofing solution until we get the metal roof on, and I have to say, the place is looking amazing. Right now, we get a real sense of what this place is going to look like when it's finished, and I really love this stage of the build because realistically the whole thing has just come to life. However, builders have now gone home. We're facing the weekend. We've got some really bad weather coming in this weekend, and one of the things about this timber is it's untreated, which means we really want to prioritize getting the exterior protected, and that means I still have a lot of staining to do tonight. So, could be a late one for me. We've managed to do a lot of staining already on the exterior, and it's not looking great. We've really rushed this job because we knew that we needed to make sure that it was at least protected to some degree before it rained. So, right now the stain is looking very patchy, which definitely is not a great look for the cabin, but it's something that's going to look a lot better when we hit it with other coats in the future. Right now the priority isn't how it looks, it's just about making sure that there's coverage on the exterior so that the timber is protected from the weather. So, a lot more work for me tonight, but I am so happy with how this is looking. Coming up next, the build continues as we transform this amazing kit set cabin into the ultimate retreat. Make sure you visit us again next week to really watch this cabin project come to life. I want to say a huge thank you to Palmako and Trade Tested for supporting this project. To find out more about these awesome cabins, click the link in the description below.